Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to have a bit of a discussion just about risk tolerance and my personal beliefs, not just in life, but I guess in investing as well. Some of you guys saw I put up a post last night saying I was going to be potentially in Vancouver for a few days and maybe even Kelowna. So some people are interested in buying some stuff, let me know. And obviously I had a couple of haters on there, or just one guy in particular that really, every time I post something, he tries to bash on it. And he was talking about me and other people in general, just trying to offload product right now, and basically trying to imply that Pokemon investors or Poketubers, a lot of people right now maybe know something that the general public doesn't know, and is trying to get out before the crash comes. And I kind of want to just give my perspective on what's going on. So I know over the past couple months, if you've been following the channel, you guys know I sold a lot of Fusion Strike. I sold some Lost Origin as well. I'm actually going to sell one more box of Lost Origin. The reason for that is because I basically have a buy cost of like $150 for my 19 boxes right now. So if I sell one more box, I'll have a zero cost basis on the final three cases, which I think would just be great. For me mentally, right? Obviously long term, it probably wouldn't be the best play, but just mentally knowing I have a zero cost basis on my Lost Origin booster boxes, for me is going to be a great feeling knowing that I can just free roll those. And Fusion Strike, I'm already there on the booster boxes, and PCTB, whatever I have left of that. So I'm really happy I did that with Fusion and Lost Origin. And I want to do the same thing with Brilliant Stars and Chilling Reign. There's really no other reason for it. I'm still really bullish on Sword and Shield long term, and even like short term over the next couple of years. Even if we do see a crash, I don't think it's going to affect Sword and Shield as much as people might expect it would. Obviously, if there's a pullback in demand, people aren't, opening that many packs of those sets, and as they get more expensive, that is going to happen as well. But I think those sets still have a ton of room to grow, and I'm grateful that I have fairly large positions in both of them. But for me, it's kind of just taking a little bit of profit, right? Like no one ever went broke, taking profits. And to kind of talk about and address some people implying that me or other PokeTubers have inside knowledge, or we think a crash is coming. I'm actually probably quite risk averse compared to a lot of people, and I know that seems ridiculous. If you guys have followed the channel a long time, you know how much of my net worth, which is around 40% in Pokemon right now, it's kind of high. Like I don't feel great about it, but I've really only taken two big risks in my life over the past at least 5 to 6 years that I can remember. The first one was going to Colombia to meet my fiance for the first time and spend time with her and her family. You guys that are from South America or have traveled there, you understand it's a different world in some ways, and you do take risks going there, especially as a foreigner whose Spanish at the time wasn't as good as it should have been. That was a huge risk for me. And then investment wise, the biggest risk I've ever taken was getting into Pokemon and putting a lot of money into my Pokemon investments. You guys know early on 2023, I didn't have a ton of investments. I had a few investments. And it was kind of at that time, maybe September, October of 2023. I started watching a lot of these YouTubers and people talking about Sword and Shield, and I started doing my own research into Sword and Shield. And it just made sense to me at the time that Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars, all these sets were going to do well long term. And it seemed like a good time to buy. And that's kind of where I made the choice to go quite heavy into Sword and Shield and buy a lot of product. And 54 Brilliant Stars booster boxes later, 4 cases of Chilling Reign, Fusion, I think at the time I had over 4 cases as well. Lost Origin, I got up to like 6 cases, I believe, at one point. So I spent a lot of money on Sword and Shield era, booster boxes in particular. And for me at the time, it was uncomfortable, but I knew that I had confidence in the play, right? Like I felt like obviously there was some risk to it, but I did feel really good. And I'm at a point now where I look at Pokemon in general and I just don't feel as good. And, there's a few reasons for that. One, we've just seen insane growth over the past 3 to 4 months, and it could very well continue. And I think a lot of people do believe it's going to continue for the next like 12 months. Everyone talks about 2025 being a big year, and I still think there's a lot to come in this year that's going to be big, especially Destined Rivals. I think Destined Rivals has potential to be better than Surging Sparks. and maybe even compete with stuff like 151 and Prismatic for being one of the best sets in the era. Again, it's going to depend on what cards we get in Glory to Team Rocket, but if we get a really good Mewtwo and then a couple other, legit top tier SIRs and maybe even some IR cards, like that will be a very insane set that everyone's going to want to open. Even if we see a pullback in demand for the hobby, that set is going to be very hot, similar to Evolving Skies in like 2020, 2022, 2023, early 2024. When the market wasn't as hot, people still wanted that set. They really believed in it. And I do think Destined Rivals could be one of those sets. So there are a lot of promising things. And then, 2026, we have the 30th anniversary coming. So there's a lot of bullish signs and things you could believe in if you really do think that Pokemon is very strong and will continue. For me, I question what's going to happen, because if you watch people like Anon, if you watch people like Rudy, it just seems like a lot of people right now are talking about distribution and issues with distribution and how there's, artificial scarcity, these distros basically selling to companies that they hold, like, what's the one Anon gave the example of today? MJ Holdings selling to GT Collectibles, and they're basically just selling on Walmart. And, Pokemon's not really doing anything about this. And I don't know how long this is going to go on for before Pokemon does start to do something about it, because Pokemon must know right now. Because if certain people are making YouTube videos about it and people are watching those videos, so the common peasants know that distros holding back product or they're marking it up, and LGSs basically are having a very difficult time getting this product, or they're having to pay a lot of money for it. If we know that, Pokemon obviously knows that. And I don't think for them it's a very good look on their brand, that they're allowing distribution companies to mark everything up. So I think it's a matter of when, not if, Pokemon is going to do something about it, whether it's just insanely massive reprints, or they do something with their distribution partners that they're going to start forcing cheaper prices onto LGSs, and try and get cheaper boxes out there. Maybe they start going more so direct to consumer. Like there's so many options that they could go with it. And I think it really is just a matter of when that happens rather than if. So for me, I don't know if that's going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. I I always just err on the side of caution, right? Like I've really only taken a couple big risks in my life. And at the time, like I didn't feel 100% about either of them, but I felt like 98, 99% sure. Like I felt really good about taking both of those risks. Where right now, buying something like Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, even buying Sword and Shield, like I don't feel super great about it right now. Like my my confidence level is definitely not zero or close to zero, but it's nowhere near 98, 99% right now. So that's why, just for me, like I want to take a little bit more money off the table and just realize gains, right? Like I could sell Brilliant Stars right now, basically double my money. Same thing with Chilling Reign, maybe even a little bit more than doubling my money at this point. So I'm happy to do that for some sets, right? Like no one ever went broke taking profits. And I'm sure people are going to continue to hold and make even more money than me. And that's great, right? Like I don't really worry about what other people are doing. I worry about me. I worry about my money, my investments, and as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing, like I never thought that when I started going really heavy in 2023 that I would be at this point in 2025. Like it's just been a wild 24 months, and not even 24 months, like 18 months, really hard, that I've been investing. It's just it's crazy to me, right? So for me, I'm super happy with where I'm at. I'm not gonna get super greedy. For you guys, again, like if you think this bull run's gonna last another 12 to 18 months, if you don't think that Pokemon's gonna do anything about the distribution problem, or they're gonna print everything to oblivion, like think that's great. Like continue buying, continue holding. That's perfectly fine. If you're running a store, like I'm sure you're gonna do super well. It doesn't seem like there's gonna be any pullback in demand, and there would be things that I would pay attention to, that would tell me we are seeing a decrease in demand. And I think part of it we are kind of seeing like price fatigue and people complaining. And I get a lot of comments on my YouTube shorts now and stuff. Everyone's calling me a scalper and saying I'm the problem with the hobby and blah blah blah. Like 90% of the stuff behind me and that I bought before, was bought before the boom really, or at market price, if that makes sense. There's very few things that I've gotten a really good deal on, except for maybe my prismatic evolutions, all of those ETBs, which again, shout out to Poke Notify. I'm super grateful to them, because without them, I honestly probably would have gotten zero of those boxes. So, it is what it is, guys. Like, this is the market we're in. You can either adapt or you don't adapt, but this is what I'm doing, right? If I can take a little bit more money off the table, realize some gains, I'm going to be happy with that. If you want to continue holding, again, that's great. I personally believe too that, once Pokemon does something, I'm not going to end up knowing until it's, too late in a sense to be able to sell at that point, right? So once Pokemon decides to do something about it, then my fate is already going to be sealed with my investments. I'm not going to be able to sell them at that point. I would just have to hold for whatever period of time. And again, like, if you're a long term minds, if you have a long term mindset, if you're holding for 5-10 years, then don't worry about this. It's all irrelevant. But for me, maybe I want to get out of some things sooner. Especially something like Brilliant Stars and Chilling Reign, which I can double up on, right? So if I can move a couple cases of those, I'll be super happy. And that was really the only point of putting that post up, is if people want to buy it, then hey, that's great. If not, I will hold it. Like, I'm not, I don't need the money, but if I can, put some money aside for what I think will potentially be good opportunities coming in the future, then, sure, that's what I'm doing. But if you want to do something different, perfectly fine. The last thing I wanted to touch on this video, I did open another prismatic ETB, and I had a lot of fun opening it, actually. Like, I really enjoyed it. That was probably the first Pokemon product in a while, probably since the last ETB I opened. And I don't open anything on camera, and I don't open a ton, right? But when I get loose packs, sometimes I will open a few, right? Like, I'll open a dozen here, a dozen there, and I have some fun with it. I've really opened nothing too crazy, except last night I did pull an SIR, which maybe I'll put a little clip at the end of this video for you guys to watch. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed opening this set. You see a lot of people when they open a pack, they just instantly go to the reverse slot. I went through everything one by one. It was really enjoyable. I spent like 20 minutes doing it, and it kind of just reminded me that if I'm gonna be in Pokemon, I should probably at least enjoy it to a certain extent. And I really did enjoy it. And what I do when I open something like this, instead of just in my mind thinking of it as, oh, I lost $200, what I do is I just take one box off of my investments, and then I redivide my total expenses based on the new number, and it bumps up my cost basis by $1 or $2. And mentally, for me, that's a lot easier to process, just because on something like this, now my cost basis, in theory, right, is like $88 Canadian. So instead of it being 86.27, it's now 88.48 or something. So that way, when I look at it like that, it's fine. I can still sell ETBs for $200, and I'm making great money. So I don't really worry about it. I had a great time doing it, and that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Give my explanation on why I still want to move certain things. Just because, again, like, my confidence level is not nearly what it was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, etc. And then also just, guys, enjoy Pokemon, right? Like, there's so many people in here that just get so worked up about things. Like, the amount of hate comments people leave in this niche, it's confusing to me, and I really don't understand all of it. And I really do hope for the people that leave those types of comments and feel the need to do that all day, every day. It's I really do hope your life gets better to the point where you don't have to do that. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this rant. Again, like, if you have any recommendations for lighting and audio in here, you guys can probably hear there's a helicopter going by right now. So I am planning to put foam up everywhere to make things a little bit better. But with that said, leave me a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. I'll catch you in the next one. All right, pack 5. Here we go. Ooh, Ace Trainer Treasure Tracker. Ooh, SIR. Let's fucking go. Holy shit. Goldengo EX. Let's go, guys. What?